PHX here. Thank you for stopping by and welcome to another Outriders Worldslayer build video. This build video is going to be taking a look at the new trigger twitch gear set that kind of overall impacts your sidearms, and I must say that it is a lot of fun to use, and honestly puts sidearms in a very great position to be used as just your basic needs to getting through the trials of Guitar. And yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right into the build. So now to start off, we are going to be going over what the gear is. So to start off, we have the trigger twitches mask. It rolls with bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, close range damage, and it's got high stakes at a tier 3 mod. Rolling after 4 successful shots with your sidearm grants 100% critical chance bonus for 3 seconds. Sidearm specialist, increased damage with dealt with sidearm weapons by 12%. And then for my third mod is stand tall, receive 49,633 anomaly power and X amount of firepower when out of cover for more than 5 seconds. I'm going to start using X in place of the difference between anomaly power and firepower, just because those numbers are going to change drastically given the different types of tiers that you're currently in and your different levels. So just keep that in mind. So from now on moving forward, I'm just going to go X anomaly power and X firepower, so just keep that in mind. So now I wanted to quickly go over just why I am very fond of this gear set, why I'm very fond of specific mods for this set. And it's the reason because if you spec out this build just right, you can have infinite ammo and infinite crits just non-stop with your sidearm, just laying down heavy firepower with your sidearm, and it's an absolute beast, just crazy enough to get through Taria Guitar, and it's so much fun to use. Going up against the bosses with your sidearm is absolutely phenomenal. From where sidearms were before to where they are now, it's definitely been an increase in having them deal significant amount of damage towards mobs, towards bossing. So I'm very fond of this gear set. It's a lot of fun to use and you will not be disappointed. So let's continue on moving forward. We have the trigger twitches coat, bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, and close range damage. Crazed gunman, critical shots with sidearms stack a 10% critical damage bonus up to 5 stacks. The bonus is lost upon swapping weapons or missing a shot. Dead clock, receive an 8% weapon damage bonus for every skill that is on cooldown. So now for this one, even though there is diminishing returns on dead clock, you really have to think about what mod you would rather have in place of this. Even though your cooldowns are on 4 seconds, you need to really think about, is 4 seconds enough time to get that 8% weapon damage? Because once the cooldowns stop and you proc your skills again, there's really no, it's almost a dead mod, unless you're constantly using your cooldowns. So with dead clock, it's very situational. I can either run it or you can run a different tier 3 mod if you really want to. It's just all depending on how you want to run this build. And then for your 3rd tier mod, I recommend that you try and get a defensive mod. So self-medication for myself, which I really love to use. Increase your max health by 10% when any skill starts its cooldown, stacks up to 3 times, each stack lasting 5 seconds. Keep in mind self-medication. Every time your skill does go on cooldown, it completely revives you. So just a definite great defensive mod along with damage absorber, but I really prefer self-medication. So try and get that into your 3rd mod slot, either damage absorber or self-medication. And then for the 3rd piece of the trigger twitch, the trousers, bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, and close range damage. I've got Captain Hunter, increases your damage against elites by 16%. We got Plate Piercer, increase your critical damage by 15%. The bonus is equal to 50% of your armor piercing. And then we have a little bit of pain. Time Rift, using the skill deals 1.5 or X amount of damage over 6 seconds to affected targets. This is a throwaway mod. Again, I would rather probably have another defensive mod in there like damage absorber if possible. or another type of firepower mod or anomaly power mod, just to kind of help with the build just a little bit more in order to maximize your damage output and your efficiency. However, I will be making another build regarding sidearms that could probably also be used with assault rifles and any other type of gun, because I just found out about another mod that allows you to use your time rift without actually having your time rift skill activated. And so far I've been doing some testing with it, and it's just so much fun to use. I'm absolutely astonished about of how this mod works. So keep that in mind. Another build video will be coming probably in the next couple of days regarding the special the mod that I found, which I just recently figured out. So yeah, just keep be aware, and yeah, just be on the lookout for that. So now we've got Ritualist's Touch, we got anomaly power, cooldown reduction, long range damage, we've got short-term loan, borrowed time, reduce the skills cooldown by 25%. We have arms and anomaly, critical shots increase your anomaly power by X amount for 6 seconds, and then we have personal space, grants you a 12% bonus to close range weapon damage. And then lastly, we have foot gear with the cannonball. Reason being is because it does roll with anomaly power, and trying to find a good pair of boots is absolutely near impossible to actually find. So with this, we have anomaly power, cooldown reduction, skills life leech. We have a damage absorber as the modified mod, phantom dash, which I always recommend rather than having a roll, because you can phase through enemies and it just feels a lot smoother and faster when you are going through the trials. And then we have sharp eye as our tier 3. Critical shots while aiming down sights grant you 81,548 firepower for 5 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times. Sorry, X amount of firepower for 5 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times. So that is the gear. This is all the gear that you'll need in order to min-max your build. Of course, there are some special occurrences where you could make it a little bit more efficient for your play style. This just works for me, running 2 anomaly, and then because of this has the bonus firepower on it. So you could also try running a full anomaly build to see just how much damage you could possibly get out of the sidearm. I'm pretty sure it would be astronomically high, especially if you're running twisted rounds on it. But that'll be for another day. But yeah, this is just kind of like your basic setup, just kind of what you want to do. And yeah, let's go ahead and get right into the weapons now. So with the weapons, so your primary and your secondary are kind of just going to be whatever. I don't use them at all. I'm just running Deathscape. I'm running Lucky Jinx. This was actually from the Trespasser Toxic build that I just recently created last week. So if you didn't check out that video, make sure to check that out. So yeah, I just haven't changed these. You can run whatever you want to run, because this is all geared towards the sidearm itself. So now going over the sidearm, there's different variations of the sidearms that you can use. For me, I really love Corruptor. I don't know what it is about this weapon. The Corruptor is an absolute beast. It rolls crit damage, close range damage, and healing received. Target rich environment, critical shots ricochet to 5 enemies within a 12-meter radius. Ricochets deal 30% of the initial shot's damage. And then for this, we have Embalmer's Rage for 3 seconds after a critical shot. All following shots will be critical shots. And then Wrath of Moloch, critical hits cause an explosion, dealing X amount of damage and inflicting burn on enemies within a 5-meter radius. So now with Corruptor and with Embalmer's Rage and with this tier 3 mod of rolling after 4 successful shots with your sidearm grants 100% critical chance bonus for 3 seconds, you are essentially getting nothing but crits. Absolute game changer when it comes to sidearms. Going up against bosses, you are just taking their health down chunk by chunk, proccing 1, 2, 3 million damage just with your sidearm. And using high stakes, the tier 3 mod, along with Embalmer's Rage, you are stacking your critical shots on top of each other. So, as soon as you're landing your crits, you're going to have your critical shots for 3 seconds, with all following shots being critical shots with Embalmer's Rage. And then once rolling after 4 successful shots with your sidearm, grants 100% critical chance bonus for 3 seconds. So you're landing crits, dodge, landing more crits, dodge, you're just constantly keep critting, and that's what makes this build so unique and so special and so much fun to use, is because you're just constantly using those, you're just constantly stacking crit damage regardless, without having it ever go on cooldown. Now, in a mob setting, you are still doing your crit damage if you could do it successfully by just constantly proccing crits. However, this is more for, you'll notice it definitely if you do try this build out, you'll notice it more definitely with a when you're going up against one of the arbiters, or even Okriel for that matter. You'll just notice that you're just constantly doing crit damage, you know, and the white numbers that you're seeing are actually from the mods themselves. And it's just, yeah, this is just an absolute beast. The way this rolled with Wrath and Moloch at target rich environment, and specking around crit shots and crit damage, just an absolute game changer to sidearm. So I highly recommend this. Now, if you don't want to run Corruptor, I do recommend you either run Disintegrator, because it does run with Strings of Gauze, and this one actually run with vulnerable on it, so you do get that extra weapon damage to affected enemies that are inflicted by vulnerable. And this also has weapon life leech as well. So if you don't feel as comfortable using Corruptor because of it having crit damage and not weapon life leech, then I definitely recommend you run it Disintegrator itself. And if you don't want to run Disintegrator, you want to run something a little faster, you can run Torment and Agony, this one here, rolled with Mage's Rage on it. And then it also has Judgment Enforcer, but you're really not going to be using Judgment Enforcer, so it's kind of a throwaway mod with Torment and Agony. But the RPMs on Torment and Agony are 750, so that does kind of make it kind of like an assault rifle in a way. And you just kind of run whatever you want to run. If you have a very good mod in the second mod slot, and you could just kind of run like Fortress or something in the first mod slot. But this one does also come with armor piercing, close range damage, and status power. And then if you don't want to run Torment and Agony, you can also run Bolt and Thunder. Bolt and Thunder has a lower RPM and a lower clip size, but it does kind of pack a punch. And does roll with weapon life leech, does roll with Strings of Gauze. And yeah, so this is the one that rolled with weightlessness, and we'll get into that into another video. Shots inflict time rift on enemies. Time rift raises the enemy into the air for 5 seconds. Absolute game changer. Again, I don't want to go into it. We'll go into another video, focusing just around the weightlessness mod for this. So yeah, so if you don't want to run Corruptor, run Disintegrator. If you don't want to run Disintegrator, you can run Torment and Agony, or you can run Bolt of Thunder, and you should be good to go. But this is the gear setup. This is what we have. So we have everything here on the mask, on the coat, the trousers, the gloves, and the foot gear as well. So just make it the way you want to make it. Not gonna harp on it too much. You just gotta make it fit your play style. But I highly recommend you give this gear set a shot, because it's an absolute game changer to the way you want to play this game. So now for the skills, we are running twisted rounds. Remember, X amount of firepower is increased. With this, I did do some testing on it, and I found that increasing your anomaly power is a lot more efficient rather than doing a full spec firepower build. The firepower build did come in handy. You were still proccing millions, but you're maybe proccing 300 to 400,000 less damage when it came to crit damage and everything else regarding because you weren't spec so much within your anomaly power. So but yeah, so there we go. We have our twisted rounds. Slow trap is a must have, because this will help kind of mitigate the mobs that do come around. This will also just cause everything to just be slow. It'll allow you to do your crit damage, allow you to do your crit shots on them, and having them all grouped together just makes it a lot easier. However, with borrowed time, if you do stop the skill, it still continues after 4 seconds. So even if like you're midway through borrowed time and you need to have that maximum health for whatever reason, you need to get your health back for whatever reason, and you stop borrowed time, you'll still get that 4 seconds. So this the skill does not have to be on complete, doesn't have to go through its complete phase. You can stop the cooldown if you really need to, and you'll still get that 4 seconds of extra ammunition as well. So yeah, this tree here is just an absolute beast when it comes to sidearms, so I highly recommend you run it this way. Yeah, an absolute game changer. And then for our Ascension, almost completed for the bottom tiers. We are working on top tiers now, so we do have some armor going into it, and then we have our skill Legion and Anomaly. We've got armor piercing, close range damage, weapon damage, and then weapon leech, along with cooldown reduction, critical chance, crit damage, and elite damage against elites as well. But other than that, guys, that is it. That is the build. That is the Trigger Twitch gear set. An absolute game changer to this. So much fun to use. I've never had so much fun using sidearms before, and sidearms are, I feel, is such a good place. And if you spec the build out right, you can do astronomical numbers of damage. I know there's a couple other builds out there that, like, if you use your deception skill or if you use the shield beast with a sidearm, you can do one shots. But this is just focusing, really just focusing that much around the sidearm itself, rather than, you know, using the Anomaly Power Mage's Rage combo, which is getting kind of old in my honest opinion. I mean, there's really not much you really have to do for that now. Oh, but let's go over quickly the SEP bonus. So spending 50% of total ammo in your current sidearm magazine as critical shots allows you to perform a special attack activated through your melee skill. The attack deals X amount of damage split up to 5 enemies within a 50-meter radius. It scales with firepower. Receive 50% damage mitigation during the attack. So if you saw through the gameplay footage where I kind of stopped and I did like this little number of like circling around with my sidearm, that is your special melee active bonus. It's a lot of fun to use. It can be kind of like detrimental in certain situations, especially if you're going to be completely mobbed, but the damage mitigation does help a lot, to the 50% damage mitigation. But it's a lot of fun to use. It's just a little neat feature, nothing too crazy. And again, like, I didn't really know what to expect about the melee skill, but again, it's a lot of fun to use. But the build is not focused around the melee skill, it's more focused around the actual sidearm itself. But again, guys, that is it. That is all I have. That is the build in a nutshell. I really hope you enjoyed it. Again, this is the Trigger Twitch bonus gear set in Outriders Worldslayer. Highly recommend you give this a shot. Build it out to the way you want to build it out. Again, if you don't want to use Corruptor, use Disintegrator. If not Disintegrator, Torment and Agony, or Bolt and Thunder. Those are my options for you. Or use whatever you want to use, whichever you feel more comfortable using. But again, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely leave a like, subscribe for more Outriders Worldslayer content, and I will catch you guys around in the next video. Take care.